You're listening to Smashing the Party. This is your host, Nate Baumberger.
You're seeing this is really me. I'm not trying to check in or phone it in today. Tonight's show is called History Repeats Itself. It's going to be short, but it's listener inspired in that I got something in my inbox that inspired me to talk about this from a listener. And it's a relevant issue, and I'm not going to say names because it's a local issue, and I always try to tiptoe around these local things because I got to look people in the face, and I already get the sense that there's a lot of people that don't like me just because I say what the fuck I want and I do what the fuck I do. So I'm just going to try to be careful, but I'm not going to be careful. I'm going to state my opinion, and hopefully no one gets hurt. The goal of this show is not to hurt people. The goal of this show is not to make people lose their reputation. I want to hammer people for their beliefs. I want to hammer ideas. I do not want individuals to feel attacked. I know what that feels like, but I'm an attacker and I know I'm vitriolic and all that shit. So with all that large disclaimer aside, I'm going to track lightly through this story. But it's about a local school district that hired a non-binary person as a kindergarten teacher, I believe. And the parents of the children in this class have raised some concerns. Some of the parents have shown support. But the article says things that just triggered me, and I think that's why this person sent it to me. This guy is a conservative person, and they actually aligned with me on the end result of this article. But I just want to talk about the experience of what this non-binary person is going through, which is why I don't want to get too specific, because I am, as you know, on the powerless, fighting for the powerless. I'm on the side of life and be the way they want to be. That's not hurting a damn person. And so I don't want to put that person on blast in any way. But I want to talk about the concept of a public school teacher that's non-binary teaching your children, fucking kindergarten, and why you would have a problem. Why in any fucking world would you have a problem with that? Who fucking cares if you send your kid off to school and they're getting educated, they're getting trained by who cares? And this person in the article, not the person that sent me the article, but one of the folks in the article was quoted as saying, I send my kids to public school, and I'm paraphrasing and gonna botch the quote, but as a Christian, I have concerns about what my child sees. And it's like, oh, fucking shit. You've already triggered me. And look, I am not anti-Christian. I grew up Christian. I grew up raised in that belief system. I don't have a problem with the morals and ethics behind religion per se. What I do loathe and fucking just get shivers is thinking that somebody can say public and also my religion and infuse those two things, as if unless they're on an evangelical tour, maybe they're on a mission. But in America, you're free to be who you want to be and believe who you want to believe in. If I decided tomorrow I want to believe in Thor, I can draft up a church and start worshiping Thor. And America will support me in that. And that's okay. The problem is if I start saying my beliefs in Thor now have to be injected into the main school's curriculum, and some of the constructs that I've created for my religion of Thor require people to, in positions of power, to wear a special armory, and how dare I send my children to some entity that these folks that are showing positions of power aren't wearing this armor. So as a believer in Thor, I'm sending my kid to a public school, and I'm pissed off because no one's wearing the regalia that's required by my religion if you're in a position of authority. How ridiculous does this sound? I hope it fucking sounds ridiculous, because that's how it fucking sounds. When you start talking about, look, your religion is fine, but you sent your kid to where you can be assured that your kid's going to grow up in the proper bubble or indoctrination that you so choose. However, when you go to a public school, you do have the ability to state your opinion, go through the board, and then have some influence, certainly through council and through the school board and everything else. But your religion stays home. That is a public place. You wouldn't feel comfortable if I made a stink about the fact that there's no teachers at the school wearing the Thor regalia. Did it freeze on me, damn it? Hold on. Because I wanted to get this one off, and if it's freezing, that sucks. It's not. Looks like it's live on some of the platforms. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. Oh, Instagram. Let me just see what the fuck's up with Instagram. But, so, damn it, my Instagram's dead and died. And so, let me just see if let me see if it's just my internet connection that's being weird. All right, there it is. It seems like it's on. All right, whatever. All right. So I make this point not to be offensive. I know it's going to offend some people, and I understand why someone would want to make sure that their children are protected. And your religion, which is sacred to you and certainly kind of embrace, you want your child to embrace your beliefs. That is something that you do at home. The public school isn't the place for it. And it's not the reverse. It's not the place where you can then say, hey, look, I want my beliefs there. I know what Oklahoma's doing. It doesn't mean it's okay. And I understand that you believe because of your religion that this world's gone to shit and like everything needs God and that's going to fix everything. I understand that's how you might believe. And if I were to say I felt that strongly about Thor, you would laugh at me and you'd think, Nate, you're just being controversial and you're just being a dick. And you're probably right, by the way. I understand. You probably are correct. I don't know why it's breaking on me. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why it's acting stupid. But that's fine. So anyway, I think it's because everything's on here. I just upgraded my computer too right before this, so there's a very good possibility that something's not going to be working correctly, but I'm going to try to get this off anyway. And whoa. See, this is Nate's style. And where is it? Now I don't know where the screen is. Hold on, guys. Damn it. There we go. Huh. Yeah, that's a weird bug that I got going on, guys. My screen, my little camera just went everywhere and I was going off. All right, anyway, so I think it's still streaming, I think. I think so. Let me just pull this out. I think I'm still streaming. What do you think? Nope. Let me just get this fixed, damn it. Sorry about this, guys. Let me freeze. Oh my God. There we go. I think I'm back on. Sorry, guys. I was on a rant. There. All right, let me just get my Instagram back on. Because I do have a point here. Of course, everything's got to go wrong. I'm hoping that it's still streaming everywhere else, because it's being weird. So we'll get it working. Now see if it'll just pick up the stream. That'd be cool. All right, guys. Then I'll get going here. I promise. Oh, an error occurred. Yeah. All right. I'm back. I'm back on that one. I think I'm going to be back on the other one too. And I'll get into my Thor. All right. So it's always going to be weird. All right. I'm back. Listen, I'm back. If you're on Instagram, I got disconnected. But so backing up again, if you're just checking in, I broke up a little bit, but the story is non-binary person hired as a kindergarten teacher. Parents are stating that their religion is making it difficult for them to send their child to the school. However, the district reported that they've broken no laws. They went by the book because of the title, based on their diversity hire and all the things that they did. Everything's on the up and up. There's no special reason or any reason why this person should be fired. They are fine. Their job should be secure. However, people are voicing their opinion about the influence of this person. Now, this person is a teacher. He's a teacher, and he said, as a conservative, I don't agree with this. There's no child that's 5 or 6 years old that's going into school and going to be all messed up because they have a non-binary kid. They're not going to care. In fact, this teacher, this conservative dude stated that, you know what, it's probably good that they see it anyway because it's going to be normalized. Now, I was kind of mind blown by this position, by this person, but it's the logical position. Now, the reason I titled this History Repeats Itself is because of the fact that I can't imagine being a black teacher and being that same situation, which this happened over and over. And I'm not trying to take any of the steam away from the LGBTQ community. I'm just stating that this has happened before, and maybe it's more visual for folks that aren't aware of the difficulties that trans folks are dealing with right now. But imagine your kid going to school and all of a sudden you find out you have a black teacher, and then some parents saying, you know what, this is a problem. And some of the parents saying, I'm not comfortable because I don't believe in the mixing of races. And by the way, that was a Christian tenet. That was one of the Christian tenets of why interracial marriage should not be illegal, because of the religious backing. The religious right backed the continuation of the segregation of and again, these are Christian principles that some people held at one point. And so the argument that your religion is going to influence the public sphere, We know how that worked out in the past. It's not worked out well. When people say, oh, because of my religion, I think that these people should be enslaved, or these people are lesser than me, or these, and whatever religion, there's no religion that preaches this. However, man gets it in their twisted heads and they decide that it's more important to serve themselves than whatever the bigger picture of the religion is. And they fucking corrupt the shit out of it. My vendetta is not against religion, any religion. I know there's a lot of Christian people that listen to this. I have no ills or qualms with the religion. I have a problem when you take that shit out of your house into the public sphere, which is tax paid, things that are supposed to be non-religious affiliations, and you're pushing that on. And as ridiculous as my story about Thor sounds, that's what it feels like to everyone else that doesn't believe the same religion to you. You would feel that same way if it was Hindu and there was a Hindu parent say, look, I'm not comfortable talking about this subject or this thing or dealing with this teacher because maybe they have a covering and I really don't believe in that and whatever. I mean, I'm making it up, right? And I'm not picking on any of Hindu. I don't know enough about Hinduism. And then I'll claim I'm not an expert on any of this shit. Most of the things I talk about are things I research that are opinion, that are kind of subjective. But this one stands out as something that I think it's easy to see how silly it is when you kind of frame it a different way. Specifically, if you frame it as, hey, look, my son came home and there was a black teacher. You go, okay, no big deal. And then all of a sudden you find out 3 other parents are kind of marching and talking about how this teacher needs to be removed because they're not comfortable, because they're personal beliefs. And to me, that's where history repeats itself. And so these civil rights battles are always the fucking same. I don't understand how intelligent people can look at history and say, you know what? I'm going to take this side. It always loses. It might take a long time, but you look silly. There's no, you don't look back on the people that said, you know what? I'm really against the end of slavery. You don't look back on this, although maybe some people in the South do, but those people look silly now. They look stupid, and all the excuses in the name of God, in the name of their religion, they advocated for slavery. It sounds ridiculous, but we have the same fucking thing going on every day. Religion decides to say, you know what? This is the line. I can't deal with this integration or this person. This is too uncomfortable for me, and my religion can't explain it, so now I have to make a stand. That's not how it works. You're not supposed to take the world and carve it into your religion. Your religion is supposed to help you understand the world and appreciate it. In fact, what I've learned about Christianity and most of the religions I'm familiar with is they all have this basic golden rule: do unto others as you want to do unto yourselves. We've talked about that enough. I'm not preaching, but I'm saying it's ridiculous for someone to think that they should have any kind of religious influence in the public sphere, let alone the bigotry that just stands on its own by saying, you know what, I'm not comfortable with my child seeing somebody who's teaching. They're not coming in there swinging their dicks in front of your kids. Come on. I'm serious. This framing of trans people and LGBTQ folks as dangerous or whatever the fuck it is, it's weird. And I would feel the same way if they said, oh, you know, I'm not comfortable with my child being taught by a black person. Why? What are you scared of is the first thing I think of. So you're scared of these people. What are you scared of? So it kind of triggered me, and it just made me think, like, how people just kind of, this woman printed this in the paper and said these things and didn't have any clue how regressive it sounded on its face. Even if you don't believe in church and state as strongly as I do, it sounded so regressive to the point where my conservative friend said, yeah, this is kind of ridiculous. So it's just amazing how history repeats itself. I'm not going to really get into politics today or talk about that, the larger kind of campaign issues I've been on. But this local issue just, it dawned on me. I feel for this person who's out there. Again, I don't know. The name wasn't mentioned, and I'm hoping that they can remain and have their sanity and keep their job and certainly not be influenced by this. And so my goal isn't to bring attention to that person, but it's the idea that folks have, especially right now with a lot of the influx of people saying, you know what, the school board and the party saying we're the party of parents, so we've got to inject ourselves into this whole education system. These aren't people that are educators, and they're saying, hey, we want this and this and this. The fuck? Stay home. What the fuck? I get it. You want to be part of your children's lives and shit. But what the fuck kind of entitlement and kind of riffraff are you smoking to think that you know better than these folks that are professionals? And you can say, oh, and point to the mistakes of it, but I can do that to your job too. I mean, one of the things about engineers, we understand there are going to be failure places. My big fucking thing that makes me a good engineer is I build logging and error first. I handle that shit first. I know it's going to break. So I identify the things that are going to break. I try to do that up front because I know it's going to be problems. So nothing's going to be perfect. So you have to understand, especially when you're trying to build a system that's going to cover the large population. You're trying to build something that's diverse and it's going to be inclusive as well as going to be functional. You can't just follow the whims of every fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry, and especially not the guy that believes that Thor is the one and everyone that's teaching should be wearing, the Thor regalia when they talk. I made that point to be ridiculous, and I'm not suggesting, by the way, that your belief is like Thor. But to me, as somebody who doesn't believe in anything that happens after life, they're all the same. And I'll use the Ricky Gervais quote that says, I'm just one more God different than you are because you believe the same thing about all those other gods, and you believe there's just one God. I'm just one more. And it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean I don't have any ethical or moral backing. By the way, that's a lovely conversation I love to have, that there are people that don't need to have a religious framework in order to do good things and be good people. I think it's bizarre that you would have to have that in order to do something like, oh, so if you do behave on earth, then you will get reward in heaven. Otherwise, if you don't, if you don't give a shit, God forbid it, you can exist without that. I mean, we can get into that. But the point is, let's keep that at home. And those are good topics. And there's nothing wrong with I've talked how I've become much more spiritual as I get older, more and more spiritual as I get older, because you realize kind of your mortality. And I'm not anti any religion. I'm anti when you're trying to throw it into a system that it's not made for that. It's not made to indoctrinate. You do your indoctrination of whatever your beliefs are at home in the freedom. You can do it. You can even evangelize outside of the public sphere. But in the schools, which is taxpayer. Now, I have no kids. Why the fuck am I paying school taxes? We can go down that path. I don't care. I'm okay with it. And so I do have a say because I'm paying taxes and I want your kids to be smart. I want smart people. Damn. I had a really good day of tinnitus, and all of a sudden, it just turned on, which is, by the way, amazing. I'm standing here with it because it's a crazy disease. Anyway, now it went off. Cool. So this article was just poignant in that it kind of reminded me of some of the things that we've repeated before, these same kind of tropes, these same ideas of saying, hey, look, I'm not comfortable. It comes from fear. You're scared your kid's going to learn something at school. God forbid they go out in the real world and they see a non-binary person when they're 18 and be like, oh my God, the world's falling. Is that what you think is going to happen? I mean, all I got to say is there's a video that I love to report when people are like, oh, kids, they can't do a lot. There's a fucking 2-year-old fucking African child making dinner and feeding his 1-year-old child who's helping him. They're doing it on their own with the fire and everything. So every time I see that video, I'm like, your fucking kid does have the potential to literally make its own food at 2. I've seen it. So I don't want to hear that your kid can't fucking handle the non-binary teacher at school in fucking kindergarten, for Christ's sake. Doesn't matter what grade they are, but it's not like the person comes in and they're wearing a fucking clown suit or some shit. I mean, come on. Like, that's what you're doing. You're painting it as if this person is some foreign entity. And that's what breaks my heart for this person. Is like, they're out there. I can't imagine being her or him or they, however they identify, whatever non-binary. I'm just being open, saying, I don't know what the situation, non-binary. I'm assuming that means them, but maybe they take their pronouns different. Again, not whatever. The point is, I'm going to be like, embrace that person. They're teaching my child or my nephew or my niece, and great. They went through all the normal requirements of a teacher, all the protections that we have for everybody else, nothing different for this person. Okay, fine, good. Then when you say, well, because I'm a Christian, I'm opposed. No, you made the wrong argument. You could say, hey, look, you know what? Let's talk about this. Or is there some kind of thing? Is there an education program? I would actually be like, all right, cool. We have a teacher that's a little different. If you had a black teacher in there and a kid goes to school and it's like the first black person they saw, maybe there's some education needs to happen. So maybe the kids are like, oh yeah, Mr. Ruper's black and this is that. Same kind of thing. It's fine. I don't know what's kosher or the appropriate thing, but to run away from it and say, oh, I'm pulling my kids. And people pulled their kids. They pulled their kids and they're doing e-learning and all this shit because of this non-binary person's got them all in a fucking tizzy. I think they're cowards. I think they're raising cowards. I think they're raising kids that are going to look at everything else and be just as judgmental as them if they continue that behavior. So I'm anti. That's my position. Again, no hate to the non-binary person in that position. Hopefully I haven't said anything that put anyone too much on under the target, but I certainly don't feel as much sympathy towards those folks that are holding those really ancient, regressive, bigoted ideas. So hopefully you heard me tonight. That's all I got. I'll be back next week. I haven't been phoning in, folks. I've been dealing with some crazy, crazy shit. The combination of tinnitus with anxiety can be a powder keg for total chaos, along with ADHD, can create some turmoil. So I've been dealing with that on a daily basis. I have good days and bad days. It's under the gun. I mean, it's being handled, but it's been a kind of, I've had to make major life decisions to make these changes to deal with this. As you can tell, I'm a high-wired person. I like to keep going. I've had to just slow down a little bit, breathe, do some meditation and shit like that, stuff that you'd never think I'd be doing. That's why I did this tour. This tour was fantastic for me. Going on this tour, feeling one with nature was good. But I just want to say, I'm still here. I'm in it to win it, folks. And there's a battle ahead. And I know certainly there's a lot on the table. And I'll get into more policy as we go forward. I feel like I wanted to get into policy tonight, but this article was just, I couldn't get it past my head that this is happening. And I started to feel for this person. And I just wanted to put it out there how strongly I feel this is just the same old bullshit people are falling for under the veil of their religion. I'd love to see it go away. It doesn't mean your religion's wrong. It just means you need to keep those things at home. In fact, one of the best parts, the last and best part about it was the significant support from the local Mennonite church, which I will say, and I've said this before, the Mennonites are some of the most progressive motherfuckers around. I went through, yes, I know, true story. Back in 92, 93, I had a gay pastor come to the retreat that I was at for yes. Mennonites are progressive, and certainly in the article, it almost like just went right at me. It was like, this Mennonite church supports the LGBTQIA community, and they were just like, yeah, no problem, no big deal. Again, now, that's the Mennonite church instituting their opinion. And I just got done saying I hate to see that influx of Christian or religious viewpoint in the schools. But I think in this moment, it was nice to see the counter to say, yeah, it's okay. We're cool with it. In that regard, they were asked for a statement, or maybe they put out a statement to counter the fact that they didn't want to have folks like me and folks like you read this and think, oh, the Christians are bigots. Because they're Christians too. And they said, no, we embrace these folks. We're okay with it. And so I like that. And again, if you watch this show, you know, believe it or not, I have some Mennonite heritage in my adoptee family and my family. And so I'm proud of that. And my grandpa was a pacifist in World War II when it was so fucking hard to be a pacifist. Everyone had all this patriotism coming out their fucking ass. He was a pacifist. These Mennonites are super progressive. I love it. And I love that that's back in the history that I was adopted into and I can call my own because I still stand by that. I would say that's I was actually thinking today how progressive my grandparents were. My grandma was one of the first people at her church to remove her covering and teach Sunday school. And she told me that. And I remember thinking, my grandma was like a little civil rights. She got it. She got it. She got it. She got it. And so let's hope more people can get it. My grandma, Mennonite little grandma, was progressive as hell. I don't care what you think. My brothers and sisters don't know fucking shit. I live with her. I know shit. They were progressive people. And I love that about the Mennonites. So it was nice to see that support from the Mennonites. And I hope that this person continues to get support. And I hope people understand, look, when you're sending your kid to a private school, you can certainly inject your religion. But when you're sending your kid to a public school, you're going to have to follow the criteria that we have accepted. In the public sphere, we don't look down or scared of people that are non-binary. And so that's just a fact. And your kids should get used to it. And maybe you should think about putting your kid back in the curriculum, and then you and your child going and getting some re-education. Maybe pop over to one of the Mennonite churches where you can see true believers and how they embrace differences in our population and absolutely live it. In my opinion, live the way that Jesus would have wanted. I'm not your preacher. I'm not your expert. I'm just saying it was an article. I loved it, so I figured I'd talk about it. That's all I got. Hopefully you heard me. I know I was broken up. I'm running beta software because I love running the latest Mac OS, so it might have been a little stitchy because of that. I'll blame that. But otherwise, I'll see you guys Monday. Enjoy your weekend. We got lots of good stuff coming up. I'm fired up, feeling good, finally getting my health under control. God damn, shit is scary. But I'm feeling good, and I think it's going to be exciting campaign season. I'm here for it. That's all I got. Peace. Let's see if I can get an outro that's decent.